All right, Anindya, why don't you tell me something about yourself?
Sure, sir. Good afternoon to the respected panel. I am Anindya Chatterjee, a resident of Delhi, and I have done my schooling from Alcon Public Senior Secondary School. I am a JSTSC scholar, have been a member of the School Executive Council in the capacity of a prefect coordinator in my class 11, and also an IOQM Merit List Certificate awardee. Apart from academics, my interests and hobbies include reading books and watching different kinds of sports, for instance, cricket. My father is an associate professor at Delhi Skill and Entrepreneurship University, while my mother is a school teacher. I am really grateful for this opportunity and look forward to this interview.
Yes, tell me.
Okay. Anindya, I want you to tell us about one quality that you think is important in the management studies.
Ma'am, I think one quality which is really important is optimal utilization of available resources to produce desired results in times of adversity.
Okay. And what is it that you think goes on to make this entire course of 5 years? Why have you chosen it, and what do you think it stands for?
Ma'am, I have chosen it because I think that it would facilitate my holistic growth as an individual. It would give me the opportunity to learn and grow with the best managerial minds of the country. Apart from that, as IIM's Rohtak mission is to mold outstanding young students into leaders and managers with a sense of excellence, strong social commitment, and passion for a value system. I think that studying in the institution would really add these qualities into my repertoire.
So why do you think this integrated program is better than 3+2 program or 4+2?
Ma'am, because I think it would give me 5 continuous years of exposure to a premier management institution like IIM Rohtak, which would not be possible in case of the 4+2 program, where I would have to shift from one branch to another, from engineering to management more specifically.
What qualities do you think you have that makes you an ideal candidate for management studies?
Ma'am, the first that I am an effective communicator. I can organize my thoughts with a great clarity and present them either verbally in a synchronized manner or on a piece of paper. And due to that, I have always shown an interest in participating in zonal level essay competitions or declamations. Apart from that, ma'am, I feel that I am a problem solver, and the main quality which I shared just before, that I can myself also optimally utilize resources. So, for instance, I have been preparing for engineering since the past 5 years, but unfortunately, this time my IPMAT Rohtak exam had clashed with my JE exam. Both had fallen on 26th. So I had prioritized IPMAT Rohtak and used the available time to effectively prepare for this exam and then qualify for the interview subsequently.
All right, that sounds interesting. Why is it that you, being a math science student, you gave priority to management studies over engineering?
Ma'am, first, as I went through the website, I really liked the mission and motto of the institute, which, as I shared just before, was to create managers and leaders with passion for a value system and a strong sense for excellence. Apart from that, ma'am, when I went through the curriculum, I saw that I would go through a host of diverse subjects like psychology, political science, and economics, also statistics. Some of these subjects I shared an interest towards, but since I could not take up them as a science student in classes in 11th and 12th, the opportunity looked very interesting to me. And of course, there was this undeniable attraction of studying in a premier management institution like IPMAT, IIM Rohtak.
Can you envision any roadblock as a quality, or as I would say, as a weakness that you have in yourself that is going to hinder your journey on the management path?
Uh, Ma'am, I think one weakness would be that I have not shared much interest into the field of arts or humanities. for much long. I would feel that this interest I would have to develop, and this might act as a roadblock initially, but I would dare to overcome it in the following years.
Okay. Rahul
Yeah,
sir.
yeah, sure, man. So next question over here is, interestingly, you told me that you have had keen interest in writing essays, and you have represented at the zonal level also. So what was the essay at that point of time? If you can help me with that.
Uh, Sir, since it was 4 years before, I cannot remember the exact topic, but it was along the lines of environmental conservation. And one essay in which I had won the first prize was an Delhi police essay competition on traffic rules and regulations. I had come first in the Delhi state zone there
Okay.
in the
So
entire state.
take it as your micro presentation section also, the same topic. So abiding traffic rules is must for everyone. You can take your time and speak on the same topic right now.
Sure, sir.
You can start now.
Sure, sir. So, abiding by the traffic rules is a must for everyone. Unfortunately, our country and especially my state, which is the city of Delhi, ranks amongst the highest when it comes to road accidents across the world. I think the primary reason behind this is not the disinclination of people towards following traffic rules and regulations, but rather disobedience towards the authorities, which is mainly the police in this case. From childhood, I've observed that people mostly follow traffic rules and regulations not because of their own safety, but because they don't want to give fines in case they are charged for not following those rules and regulations. And because of that, they find ways to not follow the regulations to the hilt. So whenever they go to side alleys or roads and they don't drive their vehicles on the highways, I've seen many people on bikes remove their helmets, and many people in cars not wear seat belts just because they think that the police would not be there in the so-called less developed regions of the city. So I think first would be sensitization of the public right from their childhood, because I think impression created in a child's mind stays permanent. So we should give this message that following traffic rules and regulations is important for our own safety, and not, fine is a very secondary constraint, and it's rather a restriction or an incentive for us to follow those rules. Apart from that, I think the police could probably make effective use of the social media in order to create a friendly image, to put out the message that look, we here are not just to cause harm to you, or uh, to cause any inconvenience to you. We really care about your safety. And I think skits and plays could be put out on YouTube from the Delhi police official handles, or friendly messages using modern day memeplexes could be also posted on Twitter and Instagram, so as to increase the connect with the young audiences, because the young audiences are the most impressionable, and if they are taught the message correctly, we could be rest assured for at least the next 2 3 generations, because they would be sure to pass on the generation. So these are my two
All
theories
right.
about the whole.
What do we mean by word polarization in context of physics or context to physics?
So the polarization of primary charges would be accumulation of charges in a very small concentration of space. So for instance, if we bring two uh, one positively charged body and one negatively charged body against each other, the
Mm-hmm.
positive side charges of probably the right ball would polarize on one side, and the negative charges would completely go to the opposite direction. And similarly for the left ball, the polarization of negative charges would occur towards the another ball, and the positive charges would go towards
What
the
do we
left
mean by
side.
word dipole?
Sir, it would be dipole would be positive and negative charge at two ends, forming some kind of a system
Are you
at the
sure?
same end.
What is Newton's third law of motion?
uh, Sir, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction.
How is word acceleration related to this particular law of motion?
Sir, acceleration is primarily also it is there in the second law, in which the equation force is equal to mass into acceleration takes place.
Okay. And there is no connection with the third law at all?
Yes, sir, there can be. So for instance, if a positively accelerated body strikes against a wall, let's say, so there would be negative acceleration in the opposite direction and it would move backwards.
Very good. Now help me with this, Anindya. So, there I am sitting in one particular room right now, okay? And there is an adjacent room to it, okay? There's one bulb placed or a small light placed in that particular room, in that adjacent room. There are three switches of that particular bulb in this particular room. What is minimum number of time I need to move from this room to that room to identify which switch belongs to that particular bulb and how and why?
So with your due permission, could you please repeat the question so that I can draw it on a piece of paper and
Sure.
then answer?
So there are two
Just a
adjacent
minute.
rooms. In one of them, I am sitting over here right now. Okay. In the other room, there is one bulb. There are three switches that are there in my room right now. Any one of those three switches is actually connected to that particular bulb. Okay. What is minimum number of times do I need to move from this room to that room to identify which is the switch for that particular bulb?
So the minimum number of times would be if one gets lucky and within the first switch the bulb blows up.
Well, the answer is one, but the explanation is incorrect. Okay, find it out after the interview part. Let me ask you this particular part also. So there are seven northeastern states, okay, in India.
Yes, sir.
I am referring to which states, what are the capitals, and name chief minister of any one of them.
Okay, sir. So I would, if I have understood the question correctly, I should name the states, their capitals, and the chief ministers
Only one
of
chief
one
minister of
state.
any one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the seven states would be Assam,
Hmm.
Meghalaya, Mizoram, Tripura, uh, Arunachal Pradesh, and Nagaland.
Are these seven? फिर से काउंट करना एक बार सेवन बोल दिया ठीक है चीफ मिनिस्टर ऑफ एनी
Yes.
वन ऑफ देम
So Chief Minister of Assam is Mr. Himanta Biswa Sharma.
Good. Name any three
And
cabinet ministers with their portfolios.
of my state or in India?
India. Cabinet minister मतलब India.
Okay, sir. Sorry. Sir, the Ministry of Home Affairs would be Mr. Amit Shah. The Minister of Finance would be Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman. And the recently appointed Minister for Minority Affairs would be Ms. Smriti Iran.
Okay. Then you can continue.
Anindya, आपने बोला reading is your hobby. What kind of books do you read?
Ma'am, I usually like to read detective books.
Detective fiction?
Yes, ma'am, detective fiction.
Which one was the last one you read?
Ma'am, the last one I read was The Murder of Dr. Roger Floyd by Agatha Christie.
And when did you read it last? I mean,
Ma'am, around 2 months before.
okay. Have you ever faced any conflict in your urge to read and your preparation for the exams?
Ma'am, not really. So actually, my pattern of reading frequency changes with the amount of academic responsibilities I have. So in times where there are quote unquote lean patches, I try to read more books as possible. And whenever the exam comes, I put the reading habit on hold on for a temporary basis. And once again I'm free, I try to read two or three books in that regard. So for instance, my board exams and various entrances have been going around for the past 2 months. So I've left reading temporarily. And once uh, with God's grace, if I'm selected in one of the institutes and I'm free from my academic responsibilities, then I would again take up reading two or three books. So that is how I manage.
What is the favorite book you've read so far?
Ma'am, my favorite book would be Harry Potter, written by J.K. Rowling.
And why do you like it?
Ma'am, I think because more than anything, it encapsulates the teenage life of any person in a perfect manner. You grow with the protagonist, Harry Potter, and try and relate with the various experiences and the challenges which he faces as an adolescent, and try and appreciate the fact that despite life taking so much away from him, he never gave up, and with the help of his friends, he finally vanquished the greatest enemy of his, which was Lord Voldemort.
But don't you think it is fantasy setup in the book, and the real life of a teenager would be far different from what the life of Harry Potter is?
Ma'am, although the setup is of a fantasy, as you just mentioned, but the experiences are just of as a teenager. So, for instance, in the middle of the series, his best friend Ron Weasley has some jealousy issues with him, and we all experience such friends who, due to either some amount of or form of miscommunication, sever the relationship which we have had developed for 5 to 6 years, and then there are many instances. For instance,
Recording stopped.
people in school don't have one favorite teacher who usually ends up targeting them despite no fault of theirs. So there was Mr. Snape who fitted into that stereotypical role of a teacher which everyone doesn't like. So although the fantasy is there, of course, there's no denying the fact, but the experiences are just as of a teenager. There is no magic involved there.
Good enough. Okay. Anything else you would want to tell us which we have not asked you in the interview?
Um, no, ma'am. Right now there is none.
Should we start with the
That should
feedback
be all.
part then?
Yeah.
All right. So, Nindya, very
Thanks a
good
lot.
job. In fact, so if you can, we'll be providing the written feedback, and that would reach you via email. Okay, but first with positives, then we'll move towards something which you need to correct on now. Okay. So I loved the way you were very calm and composed. Okay, poised throughout the interview. You were listening to things very well, responding it in a very positive manner. You are learned also. You have actually prepared for this particular exam. It was quite visible from the answers which you get. Okay. A few problems. First, I usually give the technical background, feedback. The background is blurred right now, and I want a plain background. That is a better always. That is always going to be better than what you're using right now. Okay. Apart from that, there was a network lag at one place. एक बार हुआ था, छोटा सा network lag हुआ था, तो ध्यान रखना कि exactly वो उस point of time पर नहीं हो. ठीक है. ये दो है network things. ठीक है. Then there are few things which I have especially made note of. First is you are not smiling. इंटरव्यू के टाइम पे आप बिल्कुल स्माइल नहीं कर रहे, है ना. सेकंड, एक्सप्रेशन नहीं है. सो इट्स गोइंग बिल्कुल फ्लैट. शुरू से लेकर एंड तक कोई बोर हो सकता है कि हमारी पर्सनैलिटी में वॉइस मॉड्यूलेशन नहीं हो, पर एटलीस्ट फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर डे वी नीड टू ब्रिंग सम काइंड ऑफ मॉड्यूलेशन. ठीक है, जितना भी पॉसिबल होगा. तीसरा, द वे यू आर सिटिंग, थोड़ा सा कंधे नीचे से लग रहा है मुझे. इट हैज टू बी लाइक दिस. see the difference right now. Okay. और मेरी पोजीशन देखो, खुद की पोजीशन देखो, थोड़ा सा पीछे करो लैपटॉप को या पोजीशन को. दिस विल ब्रिंग मोर आउट ऑफ यू ओवर हियर. ठीक है, और बिल्कुल स्ट्रेट बैठो. जितना तुम बताना चाह रहे हो उसकी वैल्यू बढ़ जाएगी उस पर्टिकुलर चीज से. ठीक है. अब एक और चीज, एक्सटेम्परे में बहुत अच्छा किया, लेकिन एंड नहीं पता मुझे खत्म कहाँ करना है. So I was going on speaking on this particular thing. So start as well as end हम लोग को पता होना चाहिए. इसके अलावा एक गेस किया हमने, जो मैंने क्वेश्चन का आंसर दिया था. तो अगर गेस कर रहे हैं, आंसर नहीं पता है, ठीक है, और अनएबल टू मेक आउट ऑल्सो, तुमने कोशिश नहीं करी उसके बारे में, थोड़ा सा टाइम लगाकर कोशिश कर सकते थे, लेकिन कोशिश नहीं करी, तो तुम बोल सकते हो सर आई एम जस्ट मेकिंग अ गेस ओवर हियर, ताकि सामने वाले को ये ना लगे कि जस्ट फॉल्सिफाइंग ओवर हियर. ठीक है. ओके रेनू मैम, ओवर टू यू.
ओके. स्माइल का राहुल सर ने बोला ही, पर कुछ लोगों की पर्सनालिटी होती है दैट दे they are like, little uptight and this thing when they're saying. So if it is an effort for you to smile during you're giving
Yes,
the
ma'am. That's
answers,
the
then don't. But please remember to smile before and after you say, because I have seen over the years a lot of students, while they are attempting to smile while they are giving the answers, they lose their train of thought.
Okay, right.
So don't stress on this, but at least when you finish the answers, or while I am asking or the interviewer is asking you the questions, then give them a little becoming a small tentative smile that will make us know that you are not a robot and you are a student. And yes, I also felt कि modulation बिल्कुल flat था. Very good answers. I am impressed, but without any expression, without any passion. So anyone who is seeking the students intake, they would want people who are human. We don't want perfect people. What we want is somebody who can put their life into it. So you will have to come across as someone who has that zest, that zeal in themselves. दूसरा चीज ये, एंडिंग्स फ्लैट थी. बहुत अच्छे जवाब थे, एंडिंग्स फ्लैट थी, आपको एंडिंग्स को इम्प्रूव करना है. दैट इज वन. एंड सेकेंडली, जो भी आप बोले टेक्निकली बहुत साउंड था, पर वो ऐसा लग रहा था कि यू हैव एनालाइज थिंग्स विद अ वेरी डिस्पैशनेट व्यू. कहीं ना कहीं पे आपकी पर्सनालिटी का शेड आना चाहिए इन व्हाट यू आर सेइंग. ठीक है, बस दैट इज ऑल. अदरवाइज इट वाज एब्सोल्युटली फाइन.
Okay, thank you, Anandya. You will be getting written feedbacks from our student success team today itself. These are also going to go to the mentors. So mentors आपको help करेंगे feedback पे काम करने के लिए. Today only convene a call with your mentor from IIM Indore. Those students from IIM Indore are going to help you on that particular part. Thank you, Anandya. Thanks a lot.
Sir, could a score out of 15 be also included in the feedback that could help you to analyze better?
No, see, problem is this is something where we need you to improve. ठीक है, तो
Okay.
हमने उसको उसी के आउटलाइन पे रखा हुआ है अभी, है ना. सो थर्ड फोर्थ राउंड पे अपन वो चीज इंक्लूड करेंगे. दिस इज द वेरी फर्स्ट राउंड, दैट्स व्हाई. ठीक है.
Sure.
Yes, Renu.
Anandya, one more thing I forgot. I asked you if there is anything that you would want to ask us.
Yeah.
All right. Never say that you don't have anything to ask.
Yeah.
Either ask for a feedback, if and started in the manner that if I may ask, what do you think of my candidature? अगर ये लगे कि बहुत like in your face kind of a question है, so you can ask them to point out on the areas of improvement in yourself. In your suggestion, is there anything that you would want me to work upon? Or if I may ask, what is the kind of intake that you are looking at? So they don't tell you about you in per se, but they tell you what kind of profile they have in their mind for these students, so that you can improvise upon them. ये कभी नहीं बोलना कि मुझे कुछ नहीं पूछना. So it shows that you have that hollow thing that you don't want to ask, or you're not confident enough to be asked. The reason why I have offered this thing is because I want you to say something. वो आपने चांस को जाने दिया. Don't do that.
You can also ask about the organizations. मतलब organization के अराउंड भी चीजें क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हो, है ना. Have you sent your HR script to the mentors?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Akanksha. Thanks a lot.
Oh, thank you, Anandya.